Hi, my name is Tim Locknane. I am one of the certified clinicians in the sport of football for the Illinois High School Association, and today we're going to discuss the passing game. So some of the outlines that we're going to go over is down and distance, formations, catch, no catch, keys, DPI, OPI, momentum, holding and blocking on a passing play, intentional grounding, goal line, and end zone coverage. So in the sport of high school football, down and distance doesn't matter much anymore. Passing is becoming a bigger part of the high school game. Teams are throwing all the time, including on first down. And it's not out of the question to have 60 passes during a high school game anymore. Part of the reason is the different formations that high school is now using. Teams are more spread out. Receivers are all over the field, which requires more defensive backs to cover them. So first we're going to discuss catch, no catch philosophy. So we want the receiver to complete the process of the catch. We want them to be able to survive the ground and hand you the ball. If they can't come up and hand you the ball, we believe that it's not a catch. We want them to be able to survive the hit. And most importantly, we don't want to grant any cheap fumbles. So in our first video, we're going to watch towards the bottom of the screen, the quarterback's going to roll out to the left side, and the receiver is going to have to come back and help the quarterback out and make a catch. And we're going to watch as our wing official does a great job of stopping and coming back and watching the play. So our wing, while having the responsibility of whether the quarterback legally had passed the ball, was able to get himself in a position where he was able to see clearly down the line whether the receiver not only caught the ball, but whether he was able to keep a foot in bounds, which is the high school rule, just 1 foot in bounds. I think this official did a great job of being able to watch the entire play, make a ruling, get himself in really great position, and then come up with a ruling on the play. On the next play, we're going to watch on the next play here, we're going to watch the third receiver here at the bottom, or third receiver in from the bottom, and he's going to run a seam route down the middle of the field. Now he breaks open, and it looks like he may have completed the process of the catch. Maybe he didn't. Fortunately for us, we were able to get the end zone view coming to that end zone with a great reel. The player was able to maintain the process of the catch and complete it while making a move germane to the game, so that way he was able to tuck the ball away before we believe he fumbled it. So as you can see, the receiver pulled the ball in, and we'll go in slow motion here to show you. He catches the ball, was able to tuck it away, and then the ball came loose. Now in this next play, we have the same type of formation, and we're going to watch the same receiver. And we're going to see if he completed the process of the catch, or if this was an incomplete pass. Ball over the middle of the field. Now from the back judge's viewpoint, he has clear determination on whether the process of the catch has been completed prior to the receiver losing the football. Now, unfortunately, on this, we don't have the same end zone view coming at us, but we have a pretty good look from the opposite end, and watch if the receiver completes the process of the catch. Now on this play, we could see that the receiver never completed the process of the catch, and he was not able to survive the hit. So I think this is a correct ruling with the back judge and blowing this dead. On this play, the receiver is going to come in from the right side of the screen towards the end to see the catch. Unfortunately, the video did get a little bit of rain on there as it was a rainy night. But we'll see that the player was able to survive the ground and complete the process of the catch. And then the back judge ruled it to be a touchdown. Now this is really about mechanics and being able to hold your position and make sure that the wings are not flowing right off the snap. Even though we do have 4 wide receivers in this set, if the wing has flowed down and we have a short pass right off the line of scrimmage, we're not going to have anybody able to see with confidence and come up and either say we have a catch or a no catch. So this was a really great job by this wing official to be able to stay there and hold his position, because had he had gone, we would have never known had this catch been completed. Now, if you're not working on a consistent crew every Friday night or Saturday afternoon, things that you're going to need to discuss when it comes to the passing game are you may have a different crew philosophy from game to game on who's going to cover who. Now, we do have an official's manual, and it does show that the back judge should cover the outside receiver on the strong side. However, we can incorporate other philosophies to be able to cover somebody who's in a much better viewpoint for the back judge or the wing officials. On our particular crew, the wing officials will cover the outside receivers instead of looking through them to find somebody else. Now that's our initial key only. It's not who we follow the entire play. After the snap, we're going to have to be able to move to a zone coverage. But this is something that you need to discuss. Another thing that's great to have is a great football IQ. And what I mean by a great football IQ is you have to understand the game. You have to understand the mentality of the coaches and the philosophies that they're trying to incorporate. On 3rd and long, yes, a typical play may be a screen pass to try to gain as much ground as possible. But now with 4 and 5 wide receiver sets, someone's going to go deep on every play. And a back judge and a wing need to be able to keep their spacing with only 5 officials to be able to cover all these receivers. So we need to make sure that we continue to have great football intelligence and a good IQ to be able to and be able to move differently. So what we're going to talk about next is pass interference. Now in pass interference, we do have some different philosophies, and we want to be able to explain to the coaches what the player did. And if we can fit the foul into one of these categories, it's great understanding for not only us, it makes our calls more credible, but it helps the coaches understand and how to teach their players better. So for defensive pass interference, or for short DPI, we have 6 different categories: hook and restrict, grabbing and restrict, early contact, playing through the back, armbar, and a cutoff. Now on the flip side, we have offensive pass interference, or OPI. And these are typical plays that we'll see, and we want to try to put these in the same category as well. So we have picking off a defender, kind of like a rub route. We have somebody initiating contact and pushing the defender off. Blocking downfield on most of these now new run pass options, or RPO plays, or driving through the defender in a way that creating separation so that way the receiver can get open even though the defensive back or linebacker had great coverage on that play. On this play, we're going to watch the slot receiver at the top of the screen. And while the hook is not great in this particular case, it's enough where the receiver clearly had to turn his body in order to make a catch. And we should have had a flag down on this play. As he comes off the line, he gets grabbed just enough in order to turn his body where he had to make a difficult catch. In this play, we're going to watch the slot receiver down up towards the bottom of the screen. As you're going to be able to see here, the defender what they do is they'll grab him by the hip and just turn him just enough. And by doing this, it doesn't allow the receiver the ability to run his route. Now the defender's in chase mode here, which means that he is behind the receiver and the receiver is breaking away from him. So these are the type of plays that we really need to focus on in the passing game once the defender is beat. He's beat there, he grabs him, he restricts the process of the receiver running the route, and he's unable to make the catch because of that. Now granted, it may not have been the best throw in the world, but the receiver was never able to adjust because he was already knocked off his route. For this play, we're going to focus on the receiver in the bunch formation who is on the line of scrimmage, and we're going to watch his route as he progresses and then is grabbed and restricted from having the opportunity to catch the pass. Now, as you can see, while the pass may have been high, the receiver never had the opportunity to put two hands up to try to catch the ball. The receivers at our level are not the caliber of receivers at the Division I or at the NFL level. So we need to give them the opportunity to catch the ball. And with the defender grabbing and restricting him, we're limiting their opportunities to be able to do this. For this play, we're going to watch the receiver at the top of the screen and watch the early contact that happens prior to the pass getting there. Clearly, the receiver was contacted well prior to him having the opportunity to catch the pass. On this play, we're going to watch the receiver at the top of the screen as he's running a go/fade route into the end zone, in which he has clearly established a great position and the defensive back has not. And he plays through his back, and that's the only way he's able to defend the pass. We're going to watch the receiver on the top of the screen here, and you can see the defender's already in chase mode. And once again, the level of receivers that we have at the high school level, they're not the same as the Division I or at the NFL level. Receivers at our level are not going to go up with one arm to try to catch the pass. There's a reason that they're only going up with one arm to try to catch the pass. Most likely is they're being held by an arm bar. An arm bar means that the defensive back has locked his hand on top of the receiver's arm, one of them, in order to prevent them from being able to go up with two hands. And at this point, the defender's already beat and he's in chase mode as well. And what's going to happen is, by him being able to use that armbar, he's going to be able to leverage himself forward enough in order to be able to break up the pass. So as you can see in the slow-mo replay, the defender is beat. And the receiver is going to try to go up with one hand to try to catch the pass. And as a back judge, we really need to focus on the contact that's happening between the players and not watching the ball. It will take you some time. It took me some time to be able to transition from looking up in the sky and watching the ball to start watching the receivers and seeing what they're doing with the defensive backs and how that hand fighting is either gaining an advantage or not gaining an advantage, and whether we're going to throw a foul or not. So a cutoff is when the receiver is running their route and the defensive back has positioned himself between the receiver and the ball, but is nudging the receiver towards the sideline, in essence cutting them off of their route. This will generally happen on either a go route or a fade route or things of that nature, more of a long pass. So for this one, we're going to watch the receiver at the top of the film and see how he gets rubbed off his route and pushed off to the side, and that becomes an incomplete pass because of that. That is a foul, and it's something that we need to be able to watch and look for. Now, the defensive back never turns his head around, doesn't look for the ball at all. He's just making sure that the receiver cannot catch it. In our next clip, we're going to start turning to offensive pass interference, or OPI. Now, in this case, this will happen a lot in the red zone, where the space is limited and receivers are abundant, and so are defensive backs. And in order for them to get open, they're going to run what is called a rub route. So in this particular case, if the pass has crossed the line of scrimmage or the neutral zone, the offense has the onus to not initiate blocking before the ball is released. So what we're going to watch here is the two receivers at the bottom. The outside guy is going to run a kind of post route / pick, and the slot receiver is going to run right off of him and be wide open for a touchdown. Now, these are design plays. The coaches know what they're doing. They're trying to get that guy open. And in this particular case, the defense was in man coverage. And so by the defender being picked off, he was not able to continue to follow his man into the end zone, which led to a wide open score. Now, as we've talked about, the athletes at this level don't have the same skill set as the levels above. And by doing that, the passes aren't always accurate. So the receivers will need to make adjustments. Well, in this case, the receiver at the top of the screen, far outside, is going to have to make an adjustment because the quarterback just can't throw the ball as far as he needs to. While the receiver has the defensive back beat, the pass is short. And what is he going to do? He's going to create separation by pushing the defender away. And it's just enough to get that little bit of space to have the opportunity to catch the pass. Now we're going to transition to momentum. Momentum comes into effect anytime from the 5-yard line into the end zone, where the receiver or defensive back or punt returner or kick returner has possessed the ball in the field of play, in which their momentum is then taking them into the end zone. So if that happens, what we need to be able to do is to drop a beanbag once the player has possessed the ball. Now, please understand there's a difference between touching and possession. Touching and possessing the ball. While the receiver may or defensive back have touched the ball within the field of play, by the time they complete the process of the catch and possess the ball, they may already be in the end zone. So this is a great play for us to understand that we should not be splitting hairs on when the possession happened. If the possession occurred between the half-yard line and the goal line, we want to give that player the benefit of the doubt, and we don't want to put their team at a disadvantage and have them start 1st and 10 at a half-yard line. So we're going to watch at the top of the screen here. The defensive back has great position, and while he possesses at the point where he possesses the ball's already in the end zone. At this point, the back judge had thrown his beanbag, putting the momentum at the 1-yard line. Once again, we don't want to split hairs as to inside the 1 when they possess the ball, because had this receiver been tackled in the end zone, or the defensive back been tackled in the end zone, we would have gave that team 1st and 10 at their own 1-yard line. So while there's abundance of passes now in the high school level, most of the passes are between 5 and 7 yards. So maintaining your position as a wing official and not flowing so far downfield is critical, because as you'll see in this play, we're going to have a screen pass to the receiver on the outside, on the bottom of the screen. And what ends up happening is the receiver next to him is going to start blocking. And we need to be able to transition from a pass play to now a run play. So you're going to see the receiver at the bottom is going to catch the ball, and his teammate's going to start blocking. By being able to stay with the play and move to our keys once the catch has been completed and go to that next block, we're going to be able to see the holding here on number 7 on the defensive team. So as you can clearly see, the offensive player stopped moving their feet. The defensive player is trying to get away. However, he's being held. So while our passes are short and quick, we need to be able to transition from that pass play, the loose ball play, running play. Now at our code and our level in intentional grounding, the receiver has to be within the vicinity of a pass. So while the quarterback may be outside the tackle box, unfortunately at our level that is not criteria for the quarterback or the passer to be able just to throw the ball away or dump it. So as you'll see in this case, there are 3 receivers at the top of the screen. There's 1 receiver at the bottom. The receiver at the bottom clearly clears the field. The quarterback is under duress, and while he may be outside the tackle box, it's kind of close. You're going to see he just dumps the pass, and there is no receiver in the area. As a referee, you need to be able to get the information from your crew, whether it's somebody coming to you or if you're using the technology we're allowed to use and the radios, to have somebody get on the horn and let you know, Mr. Referee or Mrs. Referee, I do not have a receiver anywhere within the vicinity of where that pass landed. So as we can see there, the quarterback scrambles out to his left. The receiver that was at the bottom of the screen went all the way across to the other side of the field. There was no eligible receiver anywhere within the area. So goal line and end zone coverage. Anything outside of the 10-yard line, the back judge has primary responsibility for the goal line. The wing should work with the back judge on any kind of type play that is near the sideline in which the receiver or runner may have stepped out of bounds prior to reaching the goal line. The back judge has to be on the goal line on long plays because, as we'll see in some of the clips, if the back judge is not at the goal line, we're not able to determine whether the player had crossed the line with possession of the ball. Now, on the inside of the 10-yard line, the wings have primary responsibility for the goal line, and the back judge will have the end line. Now, on this play, we're going to have a receiver that's going to be able to beat his man and run free a long way towards the goal line. However, hot on his tails is a defensive player who's going to try to strip the ball. And if the back judge is not in the proper place, there is no way they're going to be able to see this. So is this a touchdown? Was it a fumble? And then subsequently went out through the back of the end zone, past the end line, which would have caused a touchback in this case? While it's hard to tell exactly on the film, had the back judge not even been close to being in a position to make a ruling on this field, it's really hard for any official to have any kind of credibility if you're 40 yards behind the play. So we'll watch it again. So now we're going to go through some plays where we want you to make the call. Would you have thrown a pass interference? Would you have not thrown a pass interference? Would you have ruled a catch? Would you have ruled an incomplete pass? On the first play, we're going to watch the receiver at the top of the screen. Now, in this particular play, while the defensive back was falling to the ground, did we believe that he made a secondary action to cause a pass interference play? Let's watch it again. On this play, we're going to watch the most inside receiver on the top of the screen, and we're going to watch and see, was defensive pass interference initiated by the defense? Now, while I believe pass interference did happen on that play, especially since the receiver's inside arm, or the arm closest to the quarterback, was the one that tried to make the catch, and which would be a very unusual position for a receiver to try to make a catch. Now, since we have defensive pass interference, what category can we put that in? Was that a grab and restrict? Was that a hook and turn? Would it have been an armbar, a cutoff? You need to be able to then, once you make the process that in the decision that you're going to throw a flag, be able to fit it in one of those categories so you're able to explain it to the coaches so that way they can teach their players what not to do. For this play, we're going to watch the receiver on the bottom of the screen, and he's going to run a go route. While the ball, once again, is not exactly the most accurate throw, did the defender make contact to prevent the receiver from being able to have the opportunity to catch the pass? And if you believe that is the case, what category would you fit that in? On this, we're going to watch the receiver at the bottom of the screen, right off the side of the left side of the pole here. Did the receiver complete the process of the catch? I think the back judge went up a little bit too quickly in his ruling. Remember, we want the receiver to be able to show us the ball, complete the process of the catch before ruling touchdown. Take your time, pause, rewind the play in your mind before making any kind of ruling. This again is great mechanics by our wing official, being able to hold their position in order for them to have the best look at whether we have a catch or no catch. If the wing official had already moved down the field and left the line of scrimmage, it'd be very difficult for them with any kind of credibility to say whether this was a catch or a no catch. For this, we're going to watch the receiver at the bottom of the screen. I think the wing official did a great job, held his position, and was able to rule on whether this was a catch or a no catch. So for the kicking game, one thing that our crew will do as a philosophy is we will tell each other the eligible players. Because remember, in a scrimmage kick formation on a fourth down situation, the offensive team is allowed to have a numbering exception, which means that eligible numbers can be in ineligible positions. So if the snapper is number 22 and he's the one that ends up going out for a pass and no one knows who the eligibles are, we could allow potentially a completed pass to happen, even though we should have illegal touching on the play. So one thing that's a great thing to do is get into the habit of calling out the eligible numbers. So as we see on this play, we have a bad snap. The holder tried to maintain it, however, they weren't able to. There were a couple players that did release and were open in the back of the end zone. Now, had our crew not been able to distinguish who the eligible and ineligible numbers are, we may have given a touchdown to somebody that shouldn't have a touchdown. And instead, we should have had a foul on the play instead. So for this was the last play of the game. It was an untimed down with time expired as the team in white on offense was trailing. Now, things I would like you to watch for was the back judge in a good position. Did the catch happen in the end zone and then the receiver get pushed out into the field of play? Where was the pass caught? Was the receiver able to survive the ground? Things like that we're going to watch right at the goal line. This is the last play of the game. and it was a really exciting moment. Looks like the pass was caught. Looked like the back judge was in a proper position, right on the goal line. However, I'd like them to wait a little bit before raising their arms for a touchdown signal in order for that receiver to complete the process of the catch. On this play, we're going to watch the receiver at the bottom of the screen. Did the receiver maintain contact with the field in bounds while completing the catch prior to falling out of bounds? For this play, we're going to have a long pass down the bottom of the screen, down the sideline. Now it looks like the receiver and the defender both have a good position on the ball. Looks like there's a lot of chicken fighting, hand fighting between the receiver and the defensive back. But did anybody gain a clear advantage on this? Should a flag been thrown on this play? So we had talked about one of the offensive pass interference categories was blocking downfield. Now you'll see this on screen passes, and which is what's going to happen on this play. The receiver on the bottom of the screen is going to go out for a pass. However, they're going to come back and try to catch a screen pass. The line of scrimmage is the 49-yard line. The A's 49. And remember, it's when the player touches the ball was his entire body downfield when the touch happened. The catch can happen past the line of scrimmage as long as the touch happens at or behind the line of scrimmage. So this is something that a back judge may throw a flag on, and one of the wing officials is going to have to let them know where the pass was touched. Because when we are 20 to 25 yards past the line of scrimmage, it's going to be very difficult for a back judge to be able to tell where the pass was thrown or where the pass was touched at. So let's watch this play. So while it looks that the receiver may have been a hair past the 49-yard line, once again, philosophy-wise, let's not split hairs and say that pass was clearly past the line of scrimmage. Let's make sure that receiver is clearly past the line of scrimmage and past the neutral zone when touching the ball if we're going to pick up the flag that the back judge threw for blocking downfield. Now, while this film was from a couple years ago, and at that time this play was legal, it is now illegal in our high school and federation codes. So be mindful of this. We're going to watch the receiver, the second receiver from the top of the screen. He's going to run a wheel route behind the defensive backs. So we'll run that through again. And as you can see, the defender had slide tackled using kind of like a soccer style tackle and clipping the back of the heel at the runner. Now, once again, this used to be a legal play. It is now a foul for tripping. On this play, we're going to watch towards the bottom of the screen. Now, depending on your viewpoint, this was either an overthrown pass or an underthrown pass. Now, did the defender complete the process of the catch? Looks like they made a great attempt at it. However, it appears to have hit the ground from the film. This was a good call by the wing official in order to come up as a complete pass. On this play, we're going to watch the receiver at the bottom of the screen. Now, while he had beat the defender to the goal line and into the end zone, it's not going to be the person that comes in and makes the catch that we're going to watch. We're going to watch for the defensive back who is guarding the wide receiver. There's a little contact there. He beats him into the end zone. Now, do we have offensive pass interference, defensive pass interference, or do we have nothing we're going to play on? That's for you to decide.